Hello and welcome back to my channel What If Deku 2.0. Join us as we delve into the realms of fanfiction and fantasy, bringing you the best stories and discussions. Today we're kicking off part 4 of our series, What If Deku Became the Villain Emperor. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more content in the future. The author of this story is DekuVerse from Archive of Our Own. All the relevant links are in the description. Feel free to say hello to the author on their profile. Now let's dive into the fanfic. Deku sighed in annoyance as Muscular was down for the count. It was ridiculously easy. Pathetic, he can't even bear 1% of my power. What a waste of time. Deku said as he helped Stain up to his feet. Poor you all trashed up like this, let's go home. We enough work for few days. Deku said gently and Stain looked at him with a wide anticipating grin. I finally found you. You are the line between good and evil. The gray between the two. You are the one who can truly judge and discern good from evil unprejudiced. You are the one who will prove the world the true nature of these fake heroes. Stain declared. Gray? You mean there is good in my dark heart? What lame joke is this supposed to be? Deku asked in annoyance. Don't underestimate yourself, boy. You are the one I was searching for. The man that would clean this world. The child of prophecy. Stain declared. Deku sighed and decided to let the man be as the two jumped into rooftop where Kota was waiting impatiently. As the two villains, Kota stared at Deku in amazement and admiration with stars in his eyes. It was obvious the show of power left the boy satisfied seeing his parents' murderer get crushed like this. That was so cool, sir. How can I get like you? Kota exclaimed in amazement. Deku smiled widely. This works for him just fine. Well, if you come with me, you will get enough power to never need a hero again. And if you wish change the world alongside me, Kota-kun? Deku suggested. Line, hook and sinker. Yes please. I want to put jerks like him behind bars. And get those fakes who do only as they wish what was coming to them. Kota pleaded. Stain frowned. He is too young to be a villain leader. He is what? 5, 6. Stein asked in irritation. Kota gave a steel glare full of determination. I don't care for what you say. I want to make sure no one ever lose their parents again. Kota declared and Deku smiled. Deku nodded as he looked at the boy. Well, now that's settled, time to go, shall we, Kota-kun? Stain, you are going to be sent to the bar, so wait for new members for Team Terror. Deku inquired and Kota nodded. I want to be strong like you, Deku-san. Kota exclaimed and Deku smirked as he patted him on the head. Oh, you will, you will. I'll make sure of it. And from now call me Father. Deku said as the three were warped away by the villain emperor. That was the last time Kota Izumi was seen. Game Master, hey, the boss has just finished a boss-level fight. It was caught on camera. Apparently Muscular was trying to murder a kid, then the boss saved him. Vampire Queen, Deku-kun is so sweet. You'd oughta spy. Are we sure he is villain material? He could be one of the real heroes and God knows we could use some. Deadpool, yeah, are we sure he should be the bad guy? He is just too nice. World's a stage. Yes, we are. Deku-kun is truly determined on changing the world to the better no matter the cost, and I would be extremely happy and proud to write history alongside the talented young man. We will be legends. One of the greats of time. People will say our names in amazement. Gecko-man, well, what happened? Is our great and amazing leader okay? Everyone loves the bartender. I believe that Deku-sama was alright. I would hate if the young master got hurt to such a mindless brute. In fact, I would be very upset and will personally have few words with said brute myself. Sunglasses. You mean you will be so pissed you will shamelessly and happily warp the brute to space and let him suffocate? Deadpool. Yeah, that sounded more like threat than an inquiry. Everyone loves the bartender. I will neither confirm nor deny the statement. Vampire Queen. Gecko-man, LMAO. Game Master. You know, the boss easily beat that meathead in like 3 seconds. It was so hacks and he is not even on New Game Plus with the guy. It was a first try game and he got critical strike and a KO. Burn Beach. You mean 30 seconds, right? Game Master. Nope, actually mother 3 seconds. Boss was OP as a quirkless, but now he got the super hacks quirk with all the cheat codes and skills. I say he is like OP OP type of character. I actually feel bad for the heroes he will go after for grudge. Deadpool. Well, that's cool. You a spy. So he beat an A-rank villain in 3 seconds? How do you know that? Burn Beach. Yeah, is it on the news or something? Game Master. That's what I said. Apparently a woman was too scared to get close but not too scared to grab her phone and record someone about to brutalize a child. Gecko-man. WTF. Vampire Queen. Okay, even I know that messed up. You a spy. I hate people sometimes. Everyone loves the bartender. Is the poor child okay? World's a stage. What Kurogiri means is, did our great leader save the poor child? Game Master, you bet, actually check it out yourselves. Burn Beach, man, that dude is a psycho. Preying on a small runt? Sunglasses. Wait, is that the kid of the water hose duo from the news? F school. Wait, he killed the couple and will kill that their kid. Gecko Man, WTF. Everyone loves the bartender. If our great leader does not kill that disgrace of a human being, then I will. You'd oughta spy. Ah, that kid looks so sad. F school, run kid. Burn Beach, he can't hear you. Vampire Queen, oh my god, he's gonna die. You'd oughta spy. No. Gecko Man, it's our great leader. World's a stage, dynamic entry. I approve. Like a true protagonist and the bottas ones. Deadpool, wow, he stopped the punch so casually. Sunglasses, did he just smash him with a car? F school, oh. Gecko Man, LMAO. Burn Beach, this is a meme material. Deadpool, ditto. You'd oughta spy. Stain is going to fight instead of Deku-sama. Vampire Queen, he chose the poor kid over the fight, most heroes wouldn't. Gecko Man, yeah, F the heroes. F school, with a chainsaw. Burn Beach, stan that. Deadpool, stan. Sunglasses, we have to admit that Stain is strong. Did boss actually outblind him? He looks fast. Everyone loves the bartender. Well, Stain was about to kill us in the meeting, so let's say that the young master went into his touch my men and you died mode on the hero killer. He, to say the least, put the fear of God in the man. Game Master, it's like death itself paid a visit into the bar, terrifying, and I wasn't the one targeted. Burn Beach, oh shit, the guy was punched into a store. Gecko Man, run new member. F school, oh hell no. That seemed painfully. Game Master, and my favorite scene now. Vampire Queen, Deku-kun. You'd oughta spy, Deku-sama. World's a stage, the slow levitation is so epic. Game Master, does anyone read lips? Can't hear what boss said because the woman was a fair distance away. F school, yeah sure. Boss said, I think I promised you a fight, go to a Masuji. So let's get this over with. The winner lives, the loser meets the devil in the pits of hell. World's a stage. Dramatic, fashionable, and ominous. True protagonist scene, my dear fellows. Sunglasses, here we are. Muscular is attacking. Gecko Man, holy shit. F school, he just touched him. You'd oughta spy. Oh my god. Vampire Queen, wow. Gecko Man, he took him out just by touching him. F school, you know, I was always worried that he might not beat All Might like he said he could. But now, I am grabbing the popcorn and enjoying the show. Everyone loves the bartender. So to summarize, the young master saved that child and now Stain follows the league in the young master. But is it out of respect or fear? Burn Beach, probably both. Game Master, pretty much yeah. World's a stage, well, that was a very dramatic pose for a takedown. Gecko Man, it's like he gets more bottas by the day. F school, glad I joined. Now when he takes over Japan I can brag I was his underling. Everyone loves the bartender. I am very sure the young master would more likely call you a follower than an underling. Even with those who work for him he is very respectful too. You'd oughta spy, but isn't this why we all love him? Vampire Queen, second that sister. Burn Beach, simps. Game Master, at least they have a taste. Game Master, a harem character would befit the boss's status and get him more confidence points. I approve. Gecko Man, Deadpool. Sunglasses. World's a stage. F school, no comment. You'd oughta spy. Vampire Queen. Everyone was shocked. Everyone loves the bartender. I will be looking forward to babysitting your children, young mistresses. Burn Beach. Papagiri doesn't take hostages. Sunglasses. F school. This ain't happening anytime soon. The boss, for all his evil and power, is a socially awkward teddy bear. Dating a girl would be a challenge. Dating too? He might die in a heart attack from the confession alone. Deadpool, I want to say give him a break, but that's likely. Sunglasses. The poor Han has a very low self-esteem. Wonder why? Game Master. Abuse, neglect, and bullying in middle school. Burn Beach. Do you have names? Gecko Man. Asking for a friend. F school. Yeah, just for reference. Everyone loves the bartender. Do not bother, the young master has an entire notebook devoted to getting revenge on his school and teachers, and let's just say that reading the notebook gave me nightmares for a while. World's a stage. Always I saw those notebooks of his on hero society destruction and they scared me to death. You'd oughta spy. You two are strangely supportive. Game Master, and everyone loves the bartender. Wanna share why? Game Master, because the boss deserves all hugs in the world. I think we all agree on that. Burn Beach. One thing we agree on, handyman. One thing. F school, stan that. Deadpool, stan. Sunglasses, stan. Gecko Man, and non-stop. The nerd, did someone call me? Udata spy, Deku-sama. Vampire queen, Deku-kun. World's A stage, welcome and cheers to the man of the hour. The nerd what? Gecko man? There's a video on the internet showing you dropping a car on Muscular then shock his ass to submission that's so badass. F school, it's low-key BMF. Vampire queen changed the nerd to the boss. The boss changed his name to the nerd. Game master changed the nerd to the boss. The boss no. Vampire queen, yes. The boss changed everyone loves the bartender to Papagiri. Papagiri changed his name to everyone loves the bartender. Game master changed everyone loves the bartender to Papagiri. Papagiri, no. The boss, yes. The boss anyways. The boss, I have an announcement. Game master, Stain is joining? The boss, yes, but also a new member. I am building Team Terror since the League's Vanguard Action Squad is ready. Papagiri, should I be concerned about misbehaving? The boss, as long as you don't call him short you are on the clear. All of you. Burn Beach, sounds cool. Udata spy, when will you be back Deku-sama? The boss, I have a project with the good doctor. Do few more days. Udata spy, AWW. Vampire queen, AWW. Burn Beach, simps. The boss, what's a simp? Udata spy, that's kinda precious. Vampire queen, protect. The boss, I don't know what's wrong but I kinda gotta go to work, bye. Game master, so we all agree that he really needs some dating experience? Burn Beach, dude he doesn't know what simp is. Does that level of pureness even exist? Sunglasses, kinda precious honestly. Papagiri, yes but if the Grand Master is to have the young master getting him grandchildren then we should do something about it. Game master, Sensei is on it too. Papagiri, even in retirement the Grand Master will always scheme. Always. Deku was checking his notes from the Nomu crafting notebook he keeps at the lab of his doctor in Jaku City. The young mastermind was with Dr. Garaki. The two were working on their newest project that Deku initiated. And to say that Doctor was excited would be an understatement. It's rare nowadays to find someone else who uses manual method of taking notes in this day and age. The doctor mused as he was checking a tank with a Nomo, but not only did it have the usual purple liquid but also with substance that looked like black mud. It resembled sludge in nature. It's been my habit since I was a child. Though I want to ask, how was your experiment? I hope my idea to craft our Nomus much faster was a success. After all I had high hopes for this particular quirk. Deku mused as he walked behind the doctor to take a look at his handy work. To say Deku and Garaki bonded over their love for quirks and how they were just fascinating. Haha. Don't underestimate a man in his 200s, young lord. Besides it wasn't just an idea, it was research and a great one too. The doctor looked at the tank with a grin. His goggles shining brightly giving him a creepy appearance. It was what we needed exactly. I really can't believe it, young lord. You're a genius. You found a way to accelerate the nomification process with just one quirk. Garaki exclaimed and Deku chuckled at the doctor's praise. The praise is warming my heart, good doctor. But it's not that good yet. I need more practice to do it perfectly. This quirk is really as hard to use as it's useful. The green-haired mastermind commented with a smile as he observed the tank closely. From an unusable quirk. To be honest, me and your sensei never thought of using this quirk that way. Your sensei was confused by your choice in the second quirk, but I was with this one. Until now anyways. You in 3 days finished the procedure necessary for a month or more and you could even go farther. Doctor said in amazement as he took notes on his clipboard quickly. His excitement barely contained. Deku smiled at that. Nothing is useless if at least one person sees its use. That's what Sensei always said. Deku said fondly. Deku's quirk No Degree 3, Living Parasite. Liquid-stated parasites in the carrier body boost their carrier's physical and recovery power by times. They can also process its cell division and transmit to targets to provide the boostings and allow the carrier to control the infected. It gives user the ability to turn his limbs into sharp claws and blades, and cover the skin in a black armor that can't be easily cracked. It can be used to reconstruct the person on the cellular level and stabilize any damages to the affected's body. They also give their carrier the target's quirk. The success rate is up to various conditions. The two walked to a tank in the middle of the room, but instead of purple the liquid was blue. Inside, Koda was sleeping soundly with a smile on his face as the sludge was being absorbed into his body. Yes, my boy, get stronger and together we will destroy this messed up society. Deku grinned to himself as he cackled. Get me out of here. Someone yelled and Deku rolled his eyes as he walked into a tank. The tank had the sludge villain trapped inside who looked at Deku with immeasurable fear. Please free me. You got my quirk, so why the hell keep me? Free me. The villain yelled and Deku grinned. Because this is your karma for ruining my life, Deku declared proudly. You are insane. The sludge villain yelled in horror, seeing the boy's unhinged grin. It was then TZT the mastermind decided he had enough as he fortified the tank to shut him up. God, he was annoying. The subject is perfectly stable, young lord, Garaki called out. It's truly genius of you. The young children between 5 to 10 are more capable of handling the mutation to their quirk factors since it hadn't fully matured yet, so you use your parasites to reconstruct and enhance the body into the normal form, and thanks to the fusion of the sludge into the body of the kid, he can transform as he pleased. And with the list of water-related quirks you fused together, the only thing separating him from fighting one in the top 10 is the battle experience, Garaki exclaimed, then looked at Deku. And you said that my experiments are manically evil? Garaki grinned as he teased his master. Deku huffed a laugh at that. I didn't revive human corpses, doctor. I merely made a child capable of defending himself and made my many pets more powerful and obedient. I am preparing this for a special test, and I already have someone to test it. After all, I sent Tamura-kun and Kurogiri to capture Muscular on his way to Tartarus, Deku remarked with a smirk. Oh, your evil knows no boundaries, young lord. Garaki giggled to himself in pride. Master groomed this boy well. Really well. Few days later, Deku was with the doctor in the lab again, testing on their project together. Kota has truly gotten turned perfectly, and now he was the first human Nomu to be perfectly stable and human. His list of quirk are water, wave, hydrokinesis, and instant rehydration, along with a copy of super regeneration and blood bank. So is the subject stable? Deku asked as he observed the fight or the slaughter inside. It was entertaining to the sadistic mastermind and the mad doctor, and it was giving valuable data too, so that was a plus. Muscular could be seen and heard screaming for mercy as he was being tossed and smashed around like a rag doll by the Namufied child. The boy was obviously enjoying his test, and Deku couldn't blame him. The second he gets the chance he will, and take his time in doing so. Yes, young lord, the subject is perfectly stable. In fact, the experiment was more than a success. It was a breakthrough? Garaki said, excited. The screaming continued, and Garaki sighed as he looked at the muscle villain in irritation. You should have done something about his vocal cords, young lord, the doctor said, cleaning his ears. Please. Mercy. No more. It hurts. Muscular shouted from the testing room as he started banging on the glass window desperately to be freed from his hell. Get me out. I don't want to die. The muscle villain pleaded, desperate for survival. Lord Karma. I'll do everything you say. Serve you with passion. Whatever it is. Just save me. Deku looked at him bored. He really wasn't interested in having a psychopath like him in his ranks. The mad dog couldn't follow the most simple of plans, and that wasn't something the green-haired mastermind wanted to work around. Come on, I gave you the chance to survive and even break free. Keep fighting, my dear child needs it after all. Deku gave an unhinged grin. This my creation, the third-generation Nomo? He declared. Behind Muscular came a figure slightly taller that resembled an armored knight with a helmet that had sharp red eyes and razor-sharp teeth. The helmet resembled a shark, and the knight's body was one that would give All Might a pause. The knight grabbed the back of Muscular's head and smashed him to the ground as he started brutalizing him. The villain's blood splattered on the floor as the Nomu tore the man's limbs off and ripped him apart. After a bit, the knight stopped his well-deserved vengeance and walked to the exit of the testing room. Good job. I'm so proud of you, my child. You did well. Deku praised as the knight's form started shrinking down and turning into sludge. The sludge was being absorbed into the skin of the boy. Kota-kun? The form finally went back to that of Kota, who was beaming with joy as his father praised him. Thank you so much, father. Kota said as he hugged his adoptive father's leg, and Deku smiled in satisfaction. Good thing I took the original copy of Muscle Augmentation before the test and gave him a copy. Deku mused as he looked at the smashed corpse of the psychotic murderer. Let's go home, father. I want to show Uncle Tamura my new quirk. Kota beamed and Deku nodded, then looked at the doctor, telling him to clean up the mess. The two then disappeared with Deku's warping quirk, and Dr. Garaki was left remembering something All for One told him. Deku was a born leader. He could attract people with his sheer charisma and make them follow him. That was truly the proof. Tartarus is a special place. There is no other location like that in the world. There are many inescapable prisons for the worst of the worst, or, in some unfortunate countries, for the best of the best but there is just a single Tartarus. The bulk of the facility is located 1 kilometer off the coast of Japan. Only the uppermost layer extends over the waters, the remaining 3 are under it or, in case of the third one, are located under the bottom of the sea. The surface layer is the biggest one. It houses close to 7,000 A-rank villains, and some choice B-ranks whose crimes were sufficiently terrible. It has several blocks concentrated around the central spire, which is a fortress within a fortress. Its 20 meters tall walls made from the hardest materials that Japan had access to house the command center of the entire prison, barracks for the wardens, on-site hospital, and enough weapons and combat robots to wage and win a small war. It's not often, but sometimes one of the inmates from this level gets to leave the prison. Save for a single block, the one for the most insane and deadly of the A-rankers. The uppermost layer is a simple, if high-security, prison. There are quirk suppressors and ever-watchful wardens, but the inmates get to stretch their legs a bit. There are no such privileges for those housed in the segments hidden under the surface, save for some choice exceptions, typically brought by extremely good behavior and some attenuating circumstances. The first underwater segment houses 1,074 S-rank villains, including a bit more than 100 of those from Japan. The United States, Korea, the Siberian Federation and even the European Alliance to a smaller degree all contributed to the number. Tartarus is the world's highest security prison, and Japan bought a lot of political favors by taking in inmates from the other countries. Beneath that level lies the second underwater segment, this time housing 224 SS-rank villains, with 22 from that number being Japanese. Villains of this rank are typically executed after capture, just like majority of S-ranks. But there are some for whom execution is seen as a form of mercy they do not deserve, and some who are seen as not deserving death for exactly opposite reasons. Their accommodation on this level varies greatly, but not the security tightness around their cells. Situation of the 72 SSS rank villains housed in the underground level of Tartarus is similar. Although only 12 of those are Japanese, almost uniformly former All for One's lieutenants captured by the All Might during his long war against his fated nemesis. The entire facility is defended by 2,000 wardens, 75 heroes stationed there permanently and numerous combat robots and automatic security measures. Wardens and heroes alike come from multiple countries, and have their past screened with extreme attention to details. Even the slightest sign of past misbehavior is enough for the head warden to refuse an application. But that's merely a single part of the Tartarus defenses. The waters surrounding are permanently patrolled by a detachment of the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. Sonars constantly scan the underwater for any signs of an attack. Ships themselves are armed to the teeth with both conventional weaponry and water-oriented heroes, and only give the approaching ships a single warning before annihilating them if they do not change their course. The only alternative way of accessing the prison are 2-kilometer-long bridges connecting the facility with the mainland. However, there is another layer of defense there. An escapee that would manage to cross the bridge would have found himself in the middle of the last remaining base of the ground forces of the JSDF. Surrounded by 10,000 soldiers, armed with the best of the conventional weaponry that was created before quirks made those obsolete. And it's not like it was just a normal military base as it would be understood by someone from a century's past. Like Tartarus itself, the entire base was a labyrinth of concrete and steel, overseen by the automatic gun turrets and artillery towers. Less a base and more a massive and interconnected network of bunkers, designed to force the enemy forces to divide itself between core bastions, and then whittle their numbers in numerous killing fields. Tartarus was designed to withstand every imaginable assault. Unfortunately, the villain emperor wasn't here to assault. Deku materialized in the front side of Tartarus along with Kurogiri, Mr. Compress and Stain, the best stealth masters of the League of Villains. The four were men on a mission. Their mission happens to be woman in her 30s with indigo hair with pink strands. And a very dangerous hitman, or more accurately a hitwoman that was one of the best damn pros before all her dreams were snuffed out of her grasp by this rotten corrupt society. The four ran across the bridge and Kurogiri opened a portal for them to go through, passing through the gates of Tartarus unseen by the security system. Good, no need for any confrontations, this was a get in and get out mission after all. So why are we going after some hit woman? And an HPSC servant no less? Stain asked in irritation. Probably the man was a poker master really. But he obviously was bothered by the idea of working of a servant for the corrupts and a fake heroine. Because she was a victim to them as much as those she killed. It was either kill or be killed. But she eventually snapped and killed her boss, the former president of the HPSC, and then was placed here like a broken tool, Deku said with a wrathful expression. This dirty world turned a good woman into a murderer with multiple murders of innocent people on her belt, not just villains but heroes, politicians and anyone the HPSC president did not like. But the worst about it is that the law enforcement department was in it too, Deku added in disgust. Compress hummed softly along with his leader's rant. I see, so we are here to recruit this injusticed and powerful woman. What a twist, didn't expect our journey to lead us into Tartarus. Wish I had a camera with me, Compress said in disappointment. If it's any help, I actually am wearing one as a button of my suit, Kurogiri added helpfully. Oh, magnificent. You truly are a lifesaver, Kurogiri, Compress said in joy. Can it? You will get us noticed? Stain hissed sharply and the two looked sheepish. Sorry? They both said apologetically and Deku nodded, accepting the apology. The group of four ran through the huge grounds of the prison. They skillfully evaded the lights of the scouting towers as they went into the surface level. The four quickly ran into the main building and Kurogiri opened a portal for them to get inside. After doing so, they went into the building where they should find Nagant. Deku led them through the halls as they passed by the cells of countless dangerous criminals. Deku didn't even spare any of them a glance as he passed by many doors until they got to the door they were waiting for. Good thing he got a map of Tartarus before getting here. Looks like if you have enough money, Guerin could get you anything you ask for. Finally they reached their destination. Lady Nagant's door. Deku cocked his arm back and it crackled with black lightning before he rammed the fist into the door. The metal gate didn't stand a chance against the future king's immense power. The door burst open, revealing the purple-haired woman who looked at the door startled with wide eyes, shock, fear and joy in the eyes of the woman. Deku stepped forward as the alarm bells rang in the prison and the lights turned red, and Nagant looked at them in panic, obviously not wanting to be caught. Deku smiled as he held his hand for her to take. Kana Tsutsumi, formerly known as the pro-hero Lady Nagant. I came here to rescue you from the injustice you were facing, and to give you the chance to take down this distorted society, and especially the Hero Public Safety Commission. So would you join me? Deku asked, still extending his hand to the woman. Kana saw a lot of clowns and flourishing idiots in her life as a hero, a lot of drama queens and the kind, but she really wasn't in the mood or the position to say shit, so she silently took his hand and then black mud engulfed her and the others. After a bit she was teleported to new location. It seemed like bar of the sorts, old and worn out but still good enough to live in. The boy removed his mask and gave the markswoman one of the brightest smiles she ever saw. Was this guy really a villain? Because half heroes she worked with in her days couldn't smile half this nicely. I believe we should introduce ourselves. Dear leader, Compress said flamboyantly as he removed his mask and lowered his hat in greetings. Deku nodded his head at the suggestion. Hello there, Lady Nagant. I am Deku Shigaraki, the future king of the underworld and the one who shall get rid of the corruption in this country. Deku said with a flourish, and Nagant looked a bit weirded out but intrigued by his goals, and if he seriously just broke her out of Tartarus then maybe he was into something there. After all, she really couldn't name a single villain no matter how powerful that could pull it off. Hello there? Why did you break me out? Not that I'm not grateful, but why? Nagant asked after a moment of thinking. She was thankful she was out of that hellhole, but still, better be careful. She didn't know them and the jack dude with swords and knives was eyeing her, waiting for her to attack. Because we are the same, Deku said sadly, with his smile shrinking noticeably as Kurogiri took his place in the counter and grabbed a handful of glasses. What would everyone like? Kurogiri asked politely as he looked at everyone in the bar. Nagant glanced at the guys before shrugging and sitting on the stool next to Stain since he was the most quiet one. Anything really, I didn't have a drink in a long while, Nagant answered simply. And by God, she really could use a drink. Get her one of the rare wine bottles, Kurogiri, she deserves it. Anyone who was sent to Tartarus unfairly deserves some condolences, Deku said with a smile, and the bartender nodded his head in acceptance. Right away, young master, Kurogiri said as he went to the back to retrieve the item, and Nagant looked around for a bit. So, change society, huh? That's bold, but you seem to have the means to back it up, so what am I getting into? Nagant asked, intrigued. This boy was charismatic, that much is obvious, and strong enough if the fact that she was subconsciously weary of him said anything. Deku beamed with joy. Happy that you are open-minded, Kana-san. Well, I am in fact more of a leader for rejects, to be honest. Everyone in the League of Villains are people who face the horrors and unfairness of society. We are those whom society rejected and pushed away, and I want to change that. I want a better world for everyone to live in, but I can't do that if the likes of the Hero Commission and the Law Enforcement Department are around. Deku looked at her with a sad smile, and she could see the compassion and sympathy in those red eyes of his that shined with kindness. You are one of us, Kana-san. You were broken by this society. Your dreams and hopes were snuffed away by those in power. You were used for your gift in ways you couldn't bear, and when you had enough you were discarded like a broken pencil or something of the kid. I don't accept that. You deserve better. In fact, we all do, Kana-san, so please, lend me your strength so we could create a better world for the next generations. Deku explained patiently as he smiled at her, and Kana found herself swayed by his speech. She saw manipulation before, this wasn't it. He was honest with her and she couldn't say he was wrong. This society really needs to change, and the fact that someone so young understood that made her sick. He looked much older than he was, like he saw things a young child shouldn't. She felt the urge to join him, protect him and help him realize his goals and ambitions. With a sigh, she did something she hasn't done in a long time. She smiled and shook the white-haired boy's hand with satisfaction. She felt she was doing the right thing for once in a very long time. "All right, count me in, Chief," Kana said with a happy smile. Deku grinned as he held her hand with both of his in satisfaction. "Welcome to the League of Villains, Kana-san. Specifically in Team Terror," the young mastermind exclaimed in happiness. It was then that Kurogiri came back with a bottle of wine that they shared together. The five celebrated the new member and Kana felt like she made the right decision by joining. Plus the dude who kept an eye on her was decent looking, and jacked. Deku was in the convenience store to grab a candy bar for him while he waited for someone to get him the info he needed on a specific group until he bumped into someone on their way in. "Oh dear. I'm sorry," Deku said bashfully. "No need to fret, my boy. No harm done," the man replied in a flamboyantly polite tone. Deku managed to get a good look at him, and everything about the figure before him just screamed extravagant. Oh, he knew him, and this was a great coincidence. Today was his lucky day. He wore a black tailcoat with an overreaching collar, a pair of low-hanging striped pants, a dark purple scarf, slicked back gray hair with a single curl at the front, and a short beard and a handlebar mustache sitting above his mouth, holding a silver cane by his arm. The man clearly stuck out like a sore thumb, and Deku thanked the god above for this opportunity. This would be an excellent two in the price of one deal. The sharp-dressed thief placed a friendly hand on the boy's shoulder. "Might want to leave, lad. It's about to get quite rowdy around here," he said to the green-haired mastermind. The man walked away, and Deku decided to follow his advice and walk out of the store but not leave. The clerk behind the counter had no idea what was happening until the criminal drew a knife on him in one hand, whilst revealing a briefcase in the other. "I do apologize for the inconvenience, my good man, but would you be so kind as to open the cash register and retrieve all of your cash, please?" The stranger flashed a dazzling smile as the now terrified cashier did as told. Up above the store, perched on the edge of a building, a small girl with enormous crimson-red pigtails and dark-rimmed eyes watched the robbery take place. She recorded the whole thing with a camcorder in her gloved hand and had a beaming smile that was threatening to bubble over with giddiness. "You're doing great, gentle," the tiny girl squealed. "Your next video is gonna be the best one yet." She kept the lens on the flamboyant thief as the cashier placed the last of the cash in the briefcase. She saw the star of her shot raise a hand to his ear and heard his voice come to her own. "I don't doubt it for a moment, La Brava. Be sure to get my good side, won't you?" "Oh, gentle. All your sides look good." The girl, La Brava, swooned until she caught sight of something out of the corner of her lens. "Heads up, gentle. Heroes at 3 o'clock. True enough, a band of caped crusaders arrived on the scene. Drop your weapon. There's so many of them, gentle." The girl grimaced. "What do we do?" The flamboyant thief merely grinned. "La Brava, cut to black if you please." Deku did indeed leave the store but decided to witness the robbery. He needed to see the man's skills now that heroes are sure to come here. As he hid behind a stray dumpster down an alleyway, he pulled out a pocket telescope and aimed it at the sharp-dressed man holding a knife to a panicking cashier who hurriedly filled a briefcase full of money. All of a sudden, a multitude of multicolored heroes showed up. They struck their poses and ordering Gentle to drop his weapon and surrender. Gentle complied with dropping his knife, but it soon became clear that he didn't need it. The flamboyant thief used his quirk to easily put the heroes down for the count in the least harmful ways possible. Something Deku admired greatly. Deku watched as the flamboyant thief pressed a finger to his ear and started talking to himself as beat the heroes. The young mastermind smirked at the criminal's skills. He will be a great add to his team. He wasn't working alone, no doubt talking through an earpiece to whoever was possibly watching over him. Probably, in fact definitely La Brava. "Hold it right there." Gentle froze on the spot. Deku saw the bravado he'd shown up to that point all of a sudden disappear. The young mastermind took note of the thief's trembling legs, quivering lip and wide, shaking eyes the gentleman villain now wore. The flamboyant thief slowly turned around to face the new hero who'd shown up. It was a middle-aged man wearing a dark green ninja uniform, with 2 bamboo shoots strapped to his back, and a pair of bamboo stalks over his ears. Deku recognized him as Takeshita, the bamboo hero. "Gentle? What's the matter?" La Brava called into the man's earpiece so loud, Deku was able to hear it from where he was. He doubted the villain could hear her, stuck in his stupor no doubt. Takeshita took a fighting stance, prepping himself for whatever attack would come. You may have taken down those other heroes, but I guarantee I won't be so easy to beat. Gentle said nothing. He couldn't if he tried. The bamboo hero took notice of this and smiled. What's the matter? Scared stiff now that a real hero's shown up? He began to approach the stunned villain with a reaching hand. Gentle, please. Get out of there. The voice of the tiny partner in crime sounded close to tears. The flamboyant thief finally came back to reality but was still shaken. He began to look for a way out of there, but Takeshita was one step ahead of him. He sprouted more bamboo shoots around, the two of them reaching high into the air. Gentle was once again caught in a daze at the sight of the bamboo hero's ability. The shoots seemed to start reaching down on him, closing in to seal his fate. Time to pay for your crimes, evildoer, Takeshita declared dramatically. He was so caught up in his victory he failed to notice someone bending one of his bamboo shoots backwards behind him. Wow, it's Takeshita. Can I get an autograph? Deku yelled loudly. Huh. Well, of course you can. The call of a fan was more than enough to grab the egotistical hero as he turned around. Right into a faceful of his own bamboo. The force of the swing sent the hero flying across the parking lot, skidding across the gravel and landing headfirst into a car door, clutching at his aching head. Arg. What the heck? The sight of his old classmate sprawled out on the pavement shocked Gentle out of his trance. He looked to the one who came to his aid, seeing the boy in the green hoodie he'd passed a moment ago, now sporting a gas mask to hide his face. The green-haired child turned back to him with a look of determination through his mask lens. Run? Deku grabbed him and slung the flamboyant thief over his shoulder and then quickly jumped into the rooftop where La Brava was startling her before grabbing her and tucking her under his arm, then flying away at high speeds. Hey, what do you think you're doing? La Brava shouted indignantly, not trusting the flying away boy. Yes, lad. Why are you grabbing us like this? Gentle asked loudly. Making sure a newly wedded couple wouldn't go to jail? Deku said sarcastically, and the revealed to be married couple looked in shock. After a minute, Deku stopped in a faraway rooftop and left the couple to catch their breath from the traumatic experience of high-speed flight. How do you know that? Gentle asked after a bit. Deku reached into the top of his hoodie and untucked the forcefully tucked rabbit ears from his hood. The couple stared at him jaw-slacked, and he chuckled as he started his speech. Recruiting them wasn't as complicated as he thought. Denjiro-kun recognized and sympathized with Deku since it was the same for him. He recognized him from the sludge villain incident. He was happy that his team was getting together actually. But his mood soured as he was called by one of his business associates telling him that Sasuke Shimano from Nabu Island has sent him his will. Apparently the QLF attacked and took over Nabu Island to use it as base. Which made sense now that Mightless learned how to use her quirk laser disc as a warp gate. The father sneaked his two children into a small ship and sent them on autopilot into the main body of Japan to save them before the QLF killed them. He will greet them and take care of them. He owed the man that much anyway. And the QLF has a lot coming to them. The entirety of the league showed up for the meeting. It was something that Deku doesn't usually call, so it must be something important for him to ask for all the members of the Vanguard squad to come. Tamura, Dabi, Toga, Mustard, Spinner, Magna and Mr. Compress. Alright, you guys have a special mission, Vanguards. Deku declared loudly, and everyone gave their full attention to him. You will be recruiting Gigantor into our ranks? The mastermind said seriously. Wait, Makia is real? Tamura shrieked, scaring his team. He never seemed scared of anything before. What the hell is Gigantor? Who the hell is Gigantor? Dabi asked in confusion. It all for one's ultimate weapon/bodyguard. I honestly believed it to be an intimidating lie, especially as it didn't show up during the clash against All Might. But I met him in person, Deku said with a shake of his head. A former follower of All for One of such an unquestioning loyalty to him and powerful body that he survived receiving 7 quirks without Garaki's nullification process, without going brain dead, although it is, supposedly, a bit mentally disabled, Deku said with a wince. Deku described everything he knew about the Gigantomachia. There were pictures. There was a recording. They had to be ready to see how Makia actually acts, just to not be startled. There was a dissection of the list of its quirks. They didn't like it. 1. Endurance. It allows Gigantomachia to convert his morale into physical strength and stamina, while recharging his other quirks. So for as long as his will isn't broken, he is extremely hard to take down. It's also supposedly his original quirk. 2. Pain blocker. He is unable to feel pain regardless of the severity of the injuries, which has a nice synergy effect with the first quirk. It has the mind of an enthusiastic child, and without pain, it's extremely hard to lower its morale. 3. Gigantification. The more angry or agitated in general he is, the larger he grows. His maximum height approaches 30 meters. For dog, it seems to be a variant of mutant quirks, granting Gigantomachia exceptional sense of smell to aid him in tracking targets from afar while also allowing him to detect incoming enemies. It makes him extremely hard to surprise as other senses are improved as well. 5. Energy saver. It allows Gigantomachia to operate on minimal amounts of sleep, food and water. Buying minimal, it's 2-3 hours of sleep a month, and a similar amount of food and water. 6. Fierce gains. Muscle hardening quirk, apparently enough for Gigantomachia to be able to tank artillery rounds. Save for All Might, there are no heroes strong enough to cause physical damage to it, unless they hit where it hurts, eyes for example, or attack with heat, for example heat, Dabi-Ma-Man, etc. 7. Mole. It can grow mole-like claws from his fingers, spines on his back and a visor to shield his face, to help him dig through the earth. It can hide underground easily and burrow under you for a sneak attack. So to recruit him, the only way of making it submit is to prove your strength. And to do that, you need to, well, defeat it, Deku said lamely. Easier said than done. Spinner comments. I mean, come on. Just figure out a nasty plan to have All Might soften it up for us and there. Done, the lizard man groaned. Machia will only accept you if you beat it down, Deku replies. He is standing in front of the crowd with serious face. He wasn't playing around and they knew it. I have an approximate location of Gigantomachia's hidey hole, which is in Niigata Mountains, so you will be spending the next few weeks fighting it. Sorry, but I have nothing to help you out in this. You are on your own, Deku explained casually. What? Why do we have to do this? Can't you join us, boss? How will he listen to you if you don't beat it? Mustard asked in confusion. Oh, it already does. I beat it before I started the league as my final test by Sensei, Deku said casually. Everyone stared at the green-haired mastermind in disbelief. How the hell did you beat that thing? Dabi yelled in shock, unable to believe that he beat that monstrosity, quirkless especially. They knew their friend and lord was OP, but that's bullshit. Deku gave a kind smile as he replied. That is for me to know and for you guys to find out, was the simple answer. The league wanted to protest, but they knew better than to question their leader. He was just too smart that he probably has a hidden purpose beneath the hidden purpose. Alright, so basically, you are sending us, your loyal servants, to fight a monster made by the Underworld King himself, one of the most powerful weapons of Ma's destruction, in order to recruit it into our cause, even though you can just tell it to because you just want to test us? Tamura summarized. Pretty much, yes. Deku nodded, his smile still present on his face. The truth was far more complicated and beautiful. This gonna take months of extensive quirk usage. In fact, he would shocked if they didn't at least experience quirk awakenings one time each, at least. This should be fun to watch, and if they bother to see the weakness it has, then good for them. It took him a month to beat that thing, let them suffer a little. He needs something to let out his sadism after all. Tamura Shigaraki wanted to die, not figuratively but literally. He was so tired beyond belief and beaten up. His life for the past 2 months was an absolute horror, and that's putting it lightly. The monstrosity known as Gigantomachia was, as Deku described it, a fearless monster with unquestionable loyalty to his sensei and little brother that it wouldn't budge in the slightest. It was a hack's character with too many OP skills. Seriously, how the F did his brother beat that idiot? Machia spoke about Deku like he was a riot. Yeah, he is, and he had yet to tell them how the green-haired bean managed to put him down. Whatever his brother did must have been crazy, because nothing mundane would work on this guy. He must have used some cheat codes or something. The demon thing was, to say the very least, resilient. That they needed to create a whole newest word to describe it. Resilloyal is the best thing they could come up with to describe it. It wouldn't budge. It was like negotiating with the world's ugliest dog/brick wall/moron in history. All in all, it was a living hell for all of them, and the only help their generous leader offered them was a Nomu with a healing quirk and another that lifted exhaustion with some quirk called cell activation that he wanted to try so they could fight more and 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 more. Anyways, so to sum up, the past 54 days were an absolute horror. A field trip to hell and back of constant warfare with the dumb demon, almost constant existence on the verge of quirk exhaustion. No video games. Very limited contact with the outside world. If not for Kurogiri still bringing back food and some bits of news, Tamura wouldn't even be sure if Japan still exists at this point. They engaged that despicable giant in combat for days and days and days, and It just refused to drop dead. It must have the highest HP the fanatic gamer has ever seen. It's like it had a saver bar with the super long bar with the self-restoring health bar all at once. But, eventually they somehow succeeded when Uraraka decided that she had enough and decided to just F it and let out a chain of curses, insults and all-around swearing that would have made a drunk sailor turn red in shame. Shockingly, it hurt the giant's feelings so bad that his resolve broke. Then they were able to take him down. Dobby had the balls to yell at the brunette with a "Why didn't you do that before?" Like he had some death wish or something. Said brunette answered with a "Freeze in hell, you overcooked chicken nugget," with an unhinged glare that Stain himself would piss himself. They decided that day that an angry Uraraka is a scary Uraraka. So after that, Gigantomachia decided that they are worthy of him, mostly Uraraka, and he was warped to All for One's residence in his very own tropical island, because of course Sensei has his own island, where the ugly bastard of a demon probably flooded the entire region with tears after discovering that the Lord himself was waiting for him. They all warped to the base. They mostly went to sleep immediately, which was the best reward for this quest. Tamura and the vanguards were warped by Kurogiri to the base's living room, where he found on the couch a bunch of people, most of them he didn't know and didn't give a shit honestly. There was Stain sitting with his katana like one of those samurais and meditating. There was a woman in her 30s with indigo hair with pink strands that was checking her phone. A trio of brats playing video games on beanbags that he only knew one of them, and an indigo-haired boy with messy locks who was playing cards with the boss, and finally a man in his 30s with some red head that was barely 20 or so. Oh wait, there was on the coffee table a blonde girl that seemed to be working on some device? God, he was too tired for this shit. Tamura blinked before Deku waved at him with a bright smile on his freckled face. "Hey Tamura-kun. Welcome back. I take it Makia is dealt with?" Deku asked cheerfully. The fanatic gamer blinked once more before he followed everyone and went to his room, where he fell face first to the bed and died for only God knows how long. "Game Master, you planned for this player too?" "The boss. Whatever you are trying to accuse me of, I'm innocent." "Game Master, what about you setting us up on a deadly truist against Gigantomachia to force our quirks to evolve and level up and our combat points to increase exponentially?" "The boss? Oh, looks like I'm caught red-handed." "Game Master, F. The boss. So how many quirk reawakening did you get?" "The boss, I spent 54 days imagining those. And probably making some bets with Sensei." "Game Master, he was in on this too." "The boss, what parent doesn't want their children to grow?" "The boss, what parent sends their children against a 30 meters tall kaiju to make them grow?" "The boss, he does?" "Game Master, IHATE. The boss, cultivate it well. It will destroy society as we know it." "Game Master, okay, so I'll admit it worked swimmingly. We gained so much EXP that it's ridiculous." "The boss, yes." "The boss, details?" "Game Master, no." "The boss, I have bought you the newest edition of Call of Duty." "Game Master, you've been successful at persuading me to share the details, boss." "The boss, ouch." "Game Master, Mean awakening once, class change 4 to 5. "Game Master, Toga awakening once, class change 4 to 5. "Game Master, Magna awakening once, class change 3 to 4. "Game Master, Twice awakening once, class change 3 to 4. "Game Master, Mustard awakening once, class change 4 to 5. "Game Master, Compress awakening once, class change 4 to 5. "Game Master, Dobby awakening once, class change 4 to 5. "Game Master, Urarican awakening once, class change 4 to 5. "Izuku, Spinner, no awakenings because complex mutant, but he got massively stronger and faster." "The boss, details please." "Game Master, NO. "The boss, you are learning." "Game Master, stop making this awkward." "Game Master, okay so. Izuku, I first learned how to exclude certain things from decaying and I don't need to carry the gloves anymore. Then he almost crushed me and I went panicked to the point where I almost decayed Makia into dust while simultaneously decaying absolutely everything in the vicinity. It's an aura of decay that seems to be capable of reaching dozens of meters in diameter and can still decay only specific things. Though it only spreads through surfaces so it can't attack flying targets and so on." "The boss, oh that's really a dangerous thing." "Game Master, yes." "Game Master, Toga got one of the craziest awakening I could imagine, you are gonna flip for sure." "Game Master, she can now use quirks of people she changes into." "The boss, so she can experience potentially dozens of quirks during her lifetime?" "Oh that's wonderful. Also it's gonna be useful in the long run." "Game Master, yes, a copycat character would be useful for espionage." "Game Master, Twice now does clone himself." "And with hundreds." He single-handedly swarmed Makia for 2 hours while we rested. The boss, that's wonderful. He finally surpassed his trauma. I'm so proud. Game Master, Uraraka got some type of zero-gravity field ability now, a circle of 10 meters diameter in general. Super useful for Dabi to shoot himself around and burn that idiot badly. The boss, that's truly magnificent. Game Master, and Dabi learned how to empower fire that isn't his in the vicinity. He can turn it blue, make it hotter and control it, but only to some degree. The boss, this is even more than I expected, Tamura-kun. The boss, this is more than what hoped for. It's gonna make our missions much easier. Game Master, so who won the bets? Demon Lord, I did of course. Game Master, right. Naomasa Tsukachi, a high-ranking detective in the Mizutafu Police Department, leaned back in his chair after being hunched over for far too long. He had taken off his signature beige trenchcoat and matching fedora, hanging them both on a rack beside his office door. He had just come back from his assembly with some pro-heroes on an important investigation. As he ran his fingers through his short black hair, a knock came at his door. It's open. Detective Sansa, a fellow detective and Tsukachi's partner, stepped inside with a piping hot cup of coffee in both his hands. Hey, figured you could use a pick-me-up. Thanks. This paperwork is killing me. The high-ranking officer smiled as he took the offered cup and drank down the warm bitter liquid. Sansa gave his partner a moment to enjoy his beverage before asking. So, how'd it go with the heroes? I told them everything we were able to fig up about the League of Villains, or lack thereof, the young detective expressed after taking his cup away. We couldn't find anything about this Karma character. No name, no quirk registration. It's like he didn't exist until the day Death Arms was crushed under the steel beams. Freaky. The laid-back detective commented as he looked over the documents scattered across his partner's desk. Wow, the Green Rabbit has partners now? Sansa asked in shock. Yup, we were able to identify them as the hero Killer Stain and the Tartarus escapee Lady Nagath. And like usual we always are late to catch up to him, he is one step ahead like usual. Naomasa sighed. Man, that is one wascally wabbit. Sansa cracked, putting on a cheesy grin to go with his terrible joke. Tsukachi buried his face in his hand, yet couldn't help the grin that refused to leave. After the moment passed, Tsukachi picked up the picture of the Green Rabbit, looked at it closely. So that means he has dangerous partners now and we still know nothing about the League of Villains? Sansa sighed. I guess? The strict detective agreed but wasn't all that convinced. The Green Rabbit had been on the department's most wanted list for near to a year now. Ever since his debut on the internet for bringing down Death Arms, the mysterious criminal had gone on to foil and immobilize every hero who's attempted to stop him, by figuring out their quirks, deciphering their weakness, and using it against them all in a matter of moments. So, you managed to figure out who he is yet? Sansa asked hopefully, taking a sip from his own cup. Afraid not. Tsukachi shook his head. But I do have a theory. That so? The laid-back detective raised a curious eyebrow. Well, your hunches have always turned out to be spot on. Yeah. But this is the first time that I hope that I'm wrong? The strict detective grimaced. Sansa slowly lowered the cup from his lips. Okay, Naomasa, if you're trying to scare me, then you're doing a good job. Tsukachi brushed more of his papers aside until he found a file buried beneath the pile. Opening it up, it revealed a missing person report as well as a picture of a soft-faced preteen boy, with fuzzy dark green hair, freckled cheeks, and a warm yet anxious smile. Isn't that the missing quirkless kid you were put on to find 2 years ago? Sansa inquired in confusion. Yeah? Tsukachi answered sullenly. I know it's been forever since his disappearance. And usually, when it comes to missing people without a quirk, it mostly ends with an unhappy outcome. Sansa closed his eyes in grief, knowing exactly what his partner was talking about. Suicide rates for quirkless people was something of horror really. But you should have seen his mother that night, Tsukachi explained as he turned to the laid-back detective in his seat. She was beyond distraught. Like her entire world was falling apart. I couldn't help but swear that I'd find him and bring him home. Or at least find out what happened to him. Sansa nodded respectfully at his friend's determination. He then looked between the picture of the missing boy and the security photo of the Green Rabbit. His mind put the dots together, snapping his attention back and forth between the two images in disbelief. Wait. Naomasa. Don't tell me that you think that dash. When I got the call and headed over, I spoke with the mother, Izuku Midoriya, about what her son enjoyed doing. The strict detective detailed with a very anxious expression. She told me that he liked to make notes about heroes and their quirks. hoping that it would come in handy one day if he ever got his own. Bibutsu. That's just, come on. A quirkless person, a kid at that, being a villain? Sansa babbled. That's a little? I know it's beyond far-fetched. The high-ranking officer clarified. But like I said, it's just a theory. You can't deny that it could be a possibility. How he was able to foil the likes of Death Arms, Slugger, and Kamui Woods. Please don't bring up Kamui Woods again. It took the fire department forever to put him out. At least he made out okay. Sansa shivered at the horrifying memory until he got back on track. But come on. He took up the picture of the missing boy's bashful face. There's no way a kid as tender-looking as this could pull off a stunt like that. The laid-back detective said in disbelief. Maybe yes, maybe no. Tsukachi took up his pen and gently tapped it on the surface of his desk. I paid a visit to the boys' middle school and asked the staff a few questions. They gave the boy a lot of praise, but I could sense that they were all hiding something. What, you mean like, quirkless prejudice? Sansa inquired, a pit opening up in his stomach as he was starting to get where this was going. Wouldn't be the first time, Tsukachi confessed. Not only that, but have suspicions with Katsuki Bakugo. He and Izuku used to be classmates going back as to when they were toddlers. And there's no way that that's pure coincidence. The laid-back detective pointed out with a frown. I agree. When I first questioned Bakugo about Midoriya last year, he came off as the exact opposite of what the teachers described him to be, the strict detective stated with a scowl. Every time I asked him about Midoriya, he'd react with hostile disinterest, claiming that he didn't care about him in the least. I don't like this. Sansa rubbed his head with a grave look on his face. He then pointed to the innocent-looking boy in the picture. If that cinnamon bun of a kid really is the rabbit, then it sounds to me that he had plenty of reason to snap. Sansa said with a haunted look in his eyes, if such an innocent child became the evil boy whose name is enough to make the best of heroes shiver in fright, that the world really is nearing the apocalypse. My gut's been telling me the same thing. But like I said. Tsukachi picked up the picture of the missing child, smiling shyly back at him. I really hope it's wrong. If I have to tell Ms. Midoriya that her son has become a villain that sent over 78 heroes to the hospital, it just might break what's left of her, Tsukachi said with a sigh. To say that Nezu was scared shitless would be the understatement of the century. It has been 2 months now since the leak. A villains has attacked, sneaked into, to be precise, Tartarus, and broke out Lady Nagant from the lost secure prison in the world in such a quick and precise way that it might as well be a work of art. He was to say the least curious to why would someone like Karma want to break out a disgraced assassin of the HPSC like Kana Tsutsumi, formerly known as Lady Nagant, but after he did his research on the matter. The results horrified the principal of U.A to no end. To say that Kana-san was a victim would be putting it lightly. She was a slave, a murder dog for that bastard before the current witch, and the worst is that scumbag Mizuki was part of it. Nagant was a dangerous woman and could easily kill anyone if told to. If Karma somehow managed to pull her into his ranks, or even actually get the woman's loyalty, then Nezu is terrified of the consequences of a boy with so much anger being able to order around a woman who could kill anyone before they knew she was even around. Nezu had to give it to Karma. The young man was smart, cunning, resilient, reasonably ruthless, charismatic, and knew how to pick the best shogue pieces for a game, as well as how to use it in the best ways imaginable to a person and sometimes Nezu himself. Each strategy the young man came up with was a masterpiece that would bring the principal to tears. Karma has taken over the organized crime in Yuzutafu and was expanding to the whole prefecture, possibly the country. And to say that every place under his control became impossible to work in for the police and heroes would an understatement. The thugs got better at dealing with heroes and avoid capture, they got smarter, and their deals are much more secure and hard to track, and Nezu would be happy to bet the boy was challenging him, and to his shame he was enjoying having someone cunning enough to make the rodent run circles like this. It was exciting. But that isn't what he was worried about. It turns out that Karma wasn't quirkless but hasn't lied either. It seems that he was in fact a lad. The doors of the principal's office swung open and then came inside a furious Tashinori Yagi who seemed ready to commit genocide. Ah yes, the mammal knew how this worked and what it was about. It seems that Karma struck All Might where it hurts. Whether it was intentional or not is yet to be decided, but for now he will see how this plays out. Tell me you have a lead on that boy. He went too far with his antics, Nezu. Way too far. The old symbol of peace said in a furious tone that matched his expression. Even when in his stalled form the man radiated danger. Nezu took a sip of his tea calmly and looked at the furious blonde with a smile. Calm down, Tashinori, it's not something to lose your cool about. It's gonna be alright, and don't forget that we are very busy these days. Not just that one matter. Nezu spoke calmly and Tashinori's eye twitched at that. Not something to lose my cool about. That boy kidnapped my goddamn niece Nedzu. Toshinori yelled and Nedzu sighed at that. Ah yes, the organized assault on I Island. To be honest, Nedzu blue-screened when Eraserhead told him that somehow someone unknown sneaked into I Island and warped his followers where they wreaked havoc and took a lot of materials and rare resources along with the daughter of David Shield and got away without leaving a trace. To say Nedzu was amazed would be the understatement of a lifetime, while he was really saying a lot, huh? But praise must be given. If Nedzu met this young man before he turned to villainy, Nedzu was almost salivating at the thought of having him as his successor in his plans for controlled world domination, but it seems the kid was groomed by someone else. Pity really, but now he must calm down his old friend before the man goes into a mad rampage. I am very sure that Melissa is fine. Toshinori, Karma was quirkless himself, so he would give her a good treatment. In fact, I am sure she would be very safe in his custody until she is saved. Nedzu assured gently as he took another sip of his tea. Toshinori sighed as he slumped into his seat and ended up coughing blood into his fist. The principal gave him a tissue that he used and kept since he didn't want to give it back dirty with blood. So, what now? Are we just gonna stand around while some mini quirkless AFO is running around found whatever he wants? He broke into Tartarus. The Tartarus. All for One never managed that. All Might said outrage and the mammal sighed at that. It was then that the doors were kicked open by a very pissed-off Aizawa who entered the office with a look that would kill a puppy on sight, followed by a very grumpy Tsukachi-san and a deeply scowling Night Eye. Oh dear, now that's worrisome. Aizawa sat down and took the coffee mug offered to him and gulped it down before slamming it to the coffee table. The Erasure hero grumbled under his breath before Nedzu decided to speak. May I know why you are in such a bad mood, Aizawa-kun? Nedzu asked politely. The Erasure hero stared for a second before saying what he wanted. The hero killer works for Karma. Aizawa said bluntly, earning winces from Night Eye and Naomasa. Nedzu, even though he kept his smile, felt his face going pale, but thankfully his fur kept people from noticing that. Oh, and how did you deduce that? If it's about Hat video 2 months ago, it's just a coincidence. Night Eye interrupted quickly with a cough. The Green Rabbit aka Karma was seen with Stain and Lady Nagant killing commission lackeys for the past 2 weeks, some more brutally than others. The Foresight user said, and All Might paled, which was understandable. Scotchy cleared his throat to speak. We also had some footage from cameras of this particular trio running around and committing slaughters on commission members and lackeys, then sending evidence and dirt on them to the police stations and internet. So it's safe to say that they are doing judge, jury and execution duty? Naomasa said, troubled, and Nedzu nodded grimly. Yes, and I am afraid that this isn't the worst part. It seems that Karma is a late bloomer. With a very powerful energy manipulation quirk that he used in multiple ways to do superhuman feats since it manifested 3 months ago. The abilities varies from physical enhancement to warping and electrical discharge, and maybe even more, Nedzu said grimly. The mammal could see the look of horror on their faces and he couldn't blame them. The boy was dangerous as a quirkless, but now he is easily an S-rank villain. Oh god. This is even worse. You are saying that the one who's been running circles around the prod while quirkless is now in possession of a Class 6 quirk? Toshinori said, horrified. The rest could already guess what this is. This a horrible situation turned into an actual nightmare. The villain known as Karma was, to say the least, a nightmare for every hero agency and a cop in Japan. The mention of his name is enough to send shivers down the spines of the most experienced of veterans in the hero business and make someone in the top 30 flinch. No one will forget how he dropped a building on Death Arms or how he set Kamui Woods on fire. Oh, that one was actually enough to make the principal wince in sympathy. It took the fire department a lot of efforts to pull out the wood hero. Nedzu looked at the others in the room who looked grim and horrified and decided to let his theory about the boy's mentor for later. No need to cause mass panic after all. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through What If Deku Became the Villain Emperor. I hope you found it as intriguing and thought-provoking as we did. A big shout out to DekuVerse for crafting such a compelling story. Don't forget to check out their profile on Archive of Our Own for more amazing works. The link is in the description below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to What If Deku 2.0 for more fascinating explorations into the world of fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we're always excited to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you guys in the next video.